Hey everyone, welcome back to the Radical Care for Christian Counselors podcast. And I have a question for you. What fills your cup? Well, today we're beginning a brand new series where I'm really excited because I'm going to be sharing some of the top lessons that I've learned over the years between ministry and business and coaching, one-on-one groups. People ask me this all the time. They're like, Bethany, I'm either starting my business, or Bethany, I'm starting ministry, or Bethany, I'm trying to start a group. What have you learned about? And they fill in the blank. And about a couple months ago, I started to realize this and go, maybe I should start collecting these because I think there's a lot of similarities over the questions that I'm being asked. And hey, what if I start this on my podcast? So originally, this was like, hey, I'm going to just start asking questions and people are going to start, sending in questions and it's going to be amazing. And I started to realize, yeah, that's just too time consuming and I don't have time for that. Like, if you have questions, definitely send them in, but I'm not going to start a website where you can submit them. So you can submit questions anytime to my email, which is bethany@stepoutandthrive.com. So if you ever have any questions, please submit them that way. But what we're going to be talking about over the next couple weeks are just questions that people have stopped and asked me. And I think I'm finally to the age now, I'm in my 40s, where I actually have some experience that I can offer to people. I don't know about you all, but for those of you that have gone through the 40s, 50s, 30s, whatever, there's that transition that happens, and I'm not completely sure where it is. But when my kids started talking about the old days of the 80s, I started to realize, maybe I've lived long enough to get some experience in this. So again, this is going to be over the next couple weeks. It's going to be fun, but it's all things I wish somebody would have told me and somebody would have at least talked to me about before I entered in the coaching, the business, the ministry world. With that being said, let's make sure you're in the right place. This is a Radical Care for Christian Counselors podcast. My name is Bethany Boring. I'm a certified mental health coach, and I work with Christian counselors, mental health professionals, pastoral care leaders, moms, dads, missionaries, basically anyone who feels isolated and overwhelmed by their calling. Meaning, a lot of times, the people that I work with are doing a lot of one-on-one work, whether it's coaches, whether it's ministry, whether it's counselors, whether it's pastoral care leaders, they're doing a lot of one-on-one care for someone else. But what could that look like if we started deep communication, deep connection skills in small groups? So we really talk about on this podcast care, which is community, applications, resources, and encouragement. So if you need any of those four things, or maybe you're like me and you need all of those four things, you're in the right place. And we welcome you here. So kick off your shoes, make yourself comfortable, and we're glad you're here. So let's get into it. So today is the big topic is you can't pour from an empty cup. Now, let me go and start my story about this. When I started my business very first time doing coaching, I had an amazing certification underneath my belt. I enjoyed my experience. And I thought that I was going to enter the world as a business coach. I really wanted to work with Christian business owners that really wanted to get the love of God out there, but had no clue about SEO. And if you're hearing that word and you're like, Bethany, I don't even know what SEO is. It's called search engine optimization. I'm not going to get into all of it, but all you need to know is whenever you hit Google, whenever you start to even on these AI objects that we have, it still ranks you based on search engine optimization. So if you don't put your website in there, if you don't have tracking codes on some of the social media kind of stuff that you put out there, you're not going to get the ROI or return on investment on that work that you're doing. So if none of this makes sense, that's 1000% fine. But what I did back in the early 2000s is that I worked with businesses and Christian business owners to actually build up what they look like online, how they were able to engage a little bit. Social media was starting to come out a little bit around that time, especially towards the late 2000s. And I got to work with them. I love to do this. I work with just so many amazing people. Some people just starting out in Christian ministry and Christian business. Some of them were missionaries. Some of them were just, they wanted to be graphic designers. Some of them, where I really got started was an organization called Noah's Ark Animal Workshop. And it wasn't really Christian based or anything, but I actually worked with them for a while. And it's kind of like a stuff and fluff animal workshop kind of thing where you would travel around and you would go to like kids areas and you would go to libraries and you would go to schools and you would help these kids, build the stuffed animals. It's already like there, you just kind of stuff it, right? And you put like a little heart in it and you give it a birth certificate and sometimes you get clothes. But I did it when I was actually working for them. I went about, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I loved going in there and talking to these kids about you are fearfully and wonderfully made and God doesn't make mistakes. So cool. However, I realized other people that were working for this company, because you're a solo business owner, you're not actually paid by the company, you're paid by the people that hire you. So you're a business owner when you go to do this. And I realized many people that were in this had no clue what they were doing, had no clue how to make connections, had no clue how to go out and get referrals. They had no clue how to do any of this stuff. So I got to work with them, and that's where this all evolved into coaching. And so those were the people that I was working with fresh out of the gate. Coaching, it was amazing. I really got to enjoy a lot of these mentorships that I got connected with. But one thing I realized right out of the gate, and did take some time. I'm not gonna lie to you, it did take some time, but I would work with a lot of these business owners, and they would get to a certain point and it's like everything would come crashing down, whether it would be a family issue, whether it would be something comes out that they were hiding for a while that was in their past. Maybe it was a drug abuse problem or an alcohol issue. Maybe it was, they're not at home enough with their kids or with their spouse. Now, back in those days, I was still younger and I didn't even feel comfortable dealing with any of this. I'm like, hey, I do the SEO stuff. Like, that's your stuff. Like, I don't want none of that. That's not my area. That's not what I coach on. I hope you do your business. But I started to get frustrated because I would spend so much time with these amazing business owners and I would watch them just lose it all. And I got tired. I'm like, wait, why am I putting all of my energy, all of my finances, all of my real passions into doing this only to watch people fall? It wasn't helping my record. Like, it's really bad when you start talking about businesses that either A, aren't in existence anymore, or churches that have their leadership like not there. It's like that doesn't really help your coaching business. So I'm like, okay, God, what do I do? Like, what lesson are you teaching me out of all of this? And one thing that I really realized, and wasn't until a counselor sat in front of me and said, Bethany, why are you doing something that you don't like? And I said, touche. I do like. I do like this. I enjoy this. I really enjoyed the technology behind it. And they said, no, you don't. And I'm like, put me in a corner. And this counselor was amazing because I went through several before this time. And this was the one counselor that kind of gave it back to me. And so I had a really good defense up where I could get counselors to talk about themselves. And I still have that gift. That's why I do what I do. But this one caught on to that and said, no, you don't enjoy what you do at all, helping businesses with SEO. What is it that you really enjoy doing? What really fills your cup? And that threw me because I really left that session going, you don't know me. We've spent all of these weeks together and you really don't know me, until I realized this person really knew me better than I knew myself. When I got still and I got quiet, although I liked the business aspect of things, I really did not enjoy SEO. I really did not enjoy the technical skills, but I love supporting ministries. I love supporting solo business owners and what they did, but I didn't get joy from actually the work that I was pouring out. So when I got still, and this wasn't until a lot of years later, I began to realize that what I really enjoyed about what I did was these deep connections that I got to make. And I was scared because I was putting myself in this box. Like, no, I can only talk business stuff. No, I can only talk SEO. No, I can only talk websites and Facebook posts and TikTok stuff. That's the only thing I can talk about. And when I started realizing my passion to really connect at a deeper level, and to really go deep and to really allow people to share what was going on in their lives. That is when I became alive. But it took someone to get really specific with me and go, Bethany, what is it that really fills your cup? What is it that really helps you feel alive? And do that. So if you're getting ready to step into business or step into coaching or step into ministry, or maybe you're already there and you're wondering, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm burning out. I kind of can relate to your story, Bethany. I get to this point and then it's like everything just comes crashing down for either the people that I'm working with or maybe even in your own personal life. If you find yourself in that situation today, first of all, please do not hear that I'm condemning you at all. I mean, I was in that situation and we have to make money. We have to be able to bring money home for our family. That is a given. Now, there's a balance between that and trusting God, which we're going to get into a little bit later because that was another lesson. So I'm not trying to mash all these together, but they do go a lot together. And so, but for this lesson, I want to really focus on where you get your cup filled, and it needs to be represented in what you're doing for other people, because if it's not, friends, you're going to dry out. You're going to stop. You're going to start resenting being with the people that you're with. So we really need to spend some time really making sure that we're in the right place. And here's another thing, I'll throw this out here. I was working with somebody just the other day and we talked about this. We're in different seasons of our life. I am in a different season right now in my 40s than I was in my 20s. Thank you, Jesus. If we're still in that same season, if we're still having those same passions, we kind of get curious about it. Like, okay, God, like what's going on? You know, back in my 20s, I was really interested in cars. I was really interested in just going on these crazy trips and trying to do the next best thing. I mean, I just enjoyed doing those things. But now in my 40s with my kids and getting older and really just seeing how precious life is and seeing people being stuck in those moments, wow, that gets me out of bed in the morning when I know that I can talk to certain groups and certain people about what it is that takes them to the next best step. You all, it sets me alive. I want to help people thrive. I really do. That's why I do what I do. That gets me out of bed in the morning. So if you're in that situation and you're going, okay, Bethany, I'm looking for it, I'm looking at things I'm doing, and I'm not getting the joy. My cup is not getting filled. I want to challenge you. And I use this analogy frequently on here. So if you've heard it, just bear with me for a minute. Because some people haven't. And it seems to be that eye eye opening. That kind of felt weird, but light bulb moment. There we go. That's a little better. Like my kids go into the room, and if I ask them to clean the room and they look around, they go, it's fine. It's fine. They're not going to want to do anything until it gets to the point where it bothers them. When all of a sudden the shadows from the underwear flinging on the fan goes, huh, that doesn't look right. I'm tired of watching that happen. Okay, that hasn't happened, y'all, but it's just an analogy for you. So when you walk into your world and you know that something's not right, but you're not sure what, sometimes we get the tendency of just fixing the very first thing that we see instead of just sitting with it long enough to really notice, oh, it's the underwear hanging from the fan that's making that shadow. It's not the toys that I thought were right here. So, for instance, a good example is, wow, it's not that I come home really irritated, it's that I haven't been home enough. Two different problems, but one could be a very easy solution when you realize that you're home and you're just irritated. And another takes maybe a little bit more time to get real, maybe even some people to walk with you, maybe even some conversations that need to happen for you to realize, no, it's because I'm not really home. It's because I'm not really home. My mind's still at work, or maybe you're physically not at home. That's a situation that was a real situation that I got to walk with someone through. So again, I want you to give yourself a chance to take a deep breath in these series and these questions and these moments. These are some practical things that I had to do. And let me tell you, I am amazing at looking at that next best thing and just wanting to fix it because that's how I feel like I go forward. But really, when we're talking about the things that fill our cups, friends, if we knew the answer to that, we would already be somewhere else. So God has given us this blessing of experiencing and experimenting What does fill our cup? And here's the hint: don't ask all the people around you. Take some time to really get still and go, God, what fills my cup? What helps me feel fully alive? And be okay not knowing the answer and listening and experimenting and trying new things. We only live life once, right? So, yes, this isn't going to be one of those series where you and we have these conversations and you walk away the next week and go, check, I did that, Bethany. Sorry, I'm not that kind of person. I would love to be that kind of person. I would love to give you that easy checklist. This isn't it. But I'm telling you the truth, if you do not routinely come back and analyze if your cup is getting filled, then you have no measure. You're just doing the next thing. You're going to burn out. And if you're not noticing, if you're noticing that the very things that you thought were filling your cup aren't doing it anymore, it's time to get curious, not condemning yourself, going, why isn't this working? Instead, taking a step back and getting curious, okay, wow, I'm noticing that that person, that specific person I meet with every week, they're not filling my cup anymore. I don't feel energy when I'm with them. God, can you tell me more about that? See the difference in that? And it might be something that's going on with you. It might be something going on with them. It might be a personality thing. It might be a topic thing. It might be a time of day thing. There's so many factors. Okay. So this isn't about getting it right. It really is about approaching this with curiosity about, okay, God, can you tell me more about that? Okay, friends, can you tell me more about that? Okay, wife. Okay, spouse. Okay, husband. Okay, kids in my situation. Hey, I've noticed this. Boop, boop, boop. Can you tell me more about that? So I'll go ahead and do a practical last minute story here. One of the situations that we had to work through, just me and the boys, is that I do a lot of work from home. And a lot of times they get home from school and they need either help with homework or they just need help learning that they need to do homework and focusing. And there are days where I have other things going on, especially in the evenings. And I've had to sit and have conversations with them going, hey, I can either do this in the evening, and this is why I want to do this in the evening, or I can be with you all. But we have to make sure that we have time to do homework. So, how can we work together and make this possible? And we've had to work through areas where they're like, Mom, we got it. And to find out that they don't got it. And that's okay. They're kids. They're still teenagers. They don't, believe it or not, don't tell them I said this, but they don't always have it. Shh, they'll figure it out. Um, but to work through that. And there's times where I feel like I'm supposed to be with different groups in the evening and I'm finding out, no, like I can't fully be present with them because I need to be with my kids. Or I'm exhausted from the day that I put in. You guys, again, until we enter into these spaces with curiosity, we're not going to really understand what fills our cup and walking away with this reality that's not one and done. So figure out, what does that look like to be curious about that? What does that look like? So one, when you're ending the session today, is your cup full? What kind of cups do you have? Can we talk about financial cup, emotional cup, relational cup? What cups need to be full in order for you to wake up in the bed out of bed in the morning and go, yes, I'm ready to have the day. Because there's going to be times that we have to admit that some of those cups aren't going to be as full as we want them to be. Not that that's okay, but it just is, friends. So, what are those things that we need to put in place that are constantly filling those cups? And it's not energy that we have to do a lot of times. A lot of times it's our posture of receiving what God has already given us. A lot of times, just sitting still with God can put a lot of things back in those cups that we didn't even realize that God can do because we haven't sat still with Him long enough for Him to do what He already promised us that He was going to do. So, again, that's a process. Where are you? Do you feel like your cups are full? What are some things that fill some of those cups? What does that look like? What are some things that maybe you want to try? Okay, one of the new things that I've been trying is riding bikes. I'm finding out that there are certain bikes that I really enjoy riding, and there's certain bikes that Ain't no way I need to be riding. I might enjoy it, but I don't need to be on that bike. Okay. So that's an experiment. That's a place of joy that I'm finding that I enjoy. But I would have never even gone there if I didn't give myself a chance to at least experience what that was like. So I hope you're walking away with all these different ideas, where you're at, think of what can fill your cup, and actually get still with God about what some things that you want to try. I hope this was helpful. It was one of the lessons you can't pour out until your cup is full. Make sure God is filling that up, but also make sure you're putting and welcoming things into your life that are going to fill your cup and not drain you. Because, friends, you have a lot to offer. And I can't wait for you to show others how to thrive. Dare to do more than just survive, step out and thrive. If you would love to connect with our community, we are beginning to build that community up and we would love to have you there. We are starting to have weekly conversation, at least opportunities to ask questions and resources in there. It's called the Step Out and Thrive community. If you want to be a part, check out at BethanyBoring.com. And another thing, please like and subscribe to this podcast. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and put some comments, go ahead and put the likes. It really helps get these videos and podcasts out there to people that really could use the encouragement. And we want to be able to do that, right? Yes, we do. So thank you for being a part and cannot wait to see you next week. Dare to do more than just survive, step out and thrive. See you guys next week. Bye.